Are we on? Are we on? Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And oh boy, we have a very, very special guest. This basketball head is a modern Christie legend. Came from the same school as Tony Red Bruin, Vernon and Victor Fleming, Ray Martin, and Bertie Rencher. Hope I didn't leave out anyone, but I'm quite sure I did. These New York City ballers used to run Queens High School at Mater Dei Christie. Not Mater Dei, or Mater Dei Christie. As well as become some of the top ball players in New York City history. This basketball head will go on to score 1,095 points in high school, first team All-City and All-State. He attended St. John's Military School before receiving a scholarship to attend Marquette University. You know, Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, that Marquette. Al McGuire. If you know the history, you know my guy was a dog. At Marquette, he will become an all-time great. And not just that, he became a legend. He became a legend 2 different states, 3 different schools, and also overseas. And had a group of young players looking up to him, wanting to be just like DJ. And we're not talking about the DJ with the headphones and the 2 turntables. We talk about the DJ that could put it down on the hardwood. At Marquette, he scored 1,027 points. After his legendary college career was over, he played professionally in Spain, France, Belgium, Ireland, and Portugal. This basketball head won the Euro Cup championship in Portugal with another New York City legend, Mario Ellie, who will definitely be on the show checking in. So, without further ado, help me welcome to the show, Mater Christie High School, St. John's Military, and Marquette University legend, my guy, Dwayne, DJ Johnson.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
What's happening?
What's going on, Glenn? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. First of all, I want to make you smile again, brother, because the first guy on the check-in is another New York City legend. Ernie Myers on the check-in.
My man Ernie. Yeah, tally time. There we go. Some serious battles there. I hope he's doing well. I see you doing well, Ernie, on Facebook, buddy. Hope everything is well, man.
Yeah, that's the guy, another friend of the show. I just had my guy Ross. He had to tap it on my IG. He was like, yo, I know you got to do the show, but please tell DJ I was a young guy, I was the manager for, I guess, the pro-am squad under Mr. Bostic. And he talked about a tan van.
A two-tone passenger van. Look, that was Joe's godson, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, Glenn, Man, yo, you got me sweating like I'm about to get into the game, man. I mean, the way that introduction you did, I haven't heard nothing like that since my playing days. Wow, that
Listen,
was
man,
too much there.
no doubt, man.
But
You
yeah, but
definitely
we
earned it.
did what a way to start with Joe. Yeah, Joe Bostic. Oh God, man, the memories, the love. And I heard a little glimpse of what he was saying to you. Because Nigel Wallace,
Yes, yes.
Cosell Brown, Roosevelt Chapman, Ronnie
Woo!
Williams. I mean, we can go on. We even had Ice on the team, Jerry Reynolds. Oh my God, Fred Brown. We had a crew. And if I'm not mistaken, he traveled with us all around the city as well as to Sharon, PA. That was our M-Court tournament that we would go to.
Right.
And then it was Boston shootouts as we junior and high school and stuff, things like that. Yeah, good memories. Joe tapped into a lot of players. And even before me, it was like Sam Worthing. I mean, Bub, Rudy Johnson. Joe was all through Brooklyn. He was grabbing the Brooklyn players.
He had to be a man of respect. When you talk about all of those guys,
yeah,
all of those great players, all of those egos, it takes a special man to kind of have him lead that group.
Yeah, no question.
It wasn't a sneaker contract.
No.
Right?
No, that was before a sneaker contract.
He wasn't backed by any corporations.
No.
Right? From what I hear, and I've heard this from numerous guests that came on the show, that he loved his ball players and did everything he could to help them succeed.
Joe was into raising men and also seeing that we wasn't manipulated. We wasn't being used. And he also gave you the space to grow and also to learn. Joe grew up in a Christian house. His father was a pastor. He used to be on the radio doing his sermons from Madison Square Garden. And then, he had Bostic Academy, which was on Gates in right off of Bushwick Avenue. And that was, he was a teacher. He was an educator.
Wow.
And he took it to the streets and implemented it in basketball. He had a passion and love for basketball. And it showed every time you was around him. It was a teachable moment for him and for us too. So, it was a good person to have in your corner to keep you grounded as well as focused. What's ahead of you?
Wow. When you got guys like Ernie Myers, like a walking bucket, saying he looked up to you. Derek Chivas, another guy who said he looked up to you. All of these great players.
Right. And, I'm just glad that I was able to make an impact in their lives as well as, show them the way, because that's how it was taught to me. I had guys from Queensbridge that I looked up to when I was in junior high, well, middle school now they call it, that were going to college. They all went to Christie or LI, and then they was going to play Division I basketball. And I knew I wanted to be like them. So I used to just sit on the block and pick their brains. And, this young guy sitting there talking to these older guys, where they'd rather be chasing women or whatever, but they were ball heads.
Right.
And I wanted to be just like them. So I used to just sit around and talk to them and gather as much information as possible and learn how to be better. And that was the focus. You know what I mean? Growing up in Queensbridge.
Coming from the city, right? We have a lot of distractions. Our city's moving 1,000 miles per hour. But for us guys who, tapped into the ball and was focused, we stayed out of trouble. The gangsters looked out for us. The gangsters didn't tell us to come join them, right? The gangsters, you had just, it was a separation. It was like church. It was like church and state. It was a separation. Ball players stayed over here. The gangsters stayed over here. And sometimes you may have a gangster probably that could ball, but he didn't bring you into his world.
Right. Well, he didn't want you into it because they seen a they seen something in you. They seen someone that was going to get out, someone that had a gift. And you know, I'm not no exception to the rule because I had, you know, guys that was hustling on the block and, you know, in my projects that would tell me get off the block when you got certain time, take your ass upstairs, things like that. And, you know, and I appreciated that, you know, and that's why what I learned coming up, I'm passing on to the younger generation, to the next generation, I should say. And, you know, it's important because I didn't get to where I was without their help or their guidance. And you know, a lot the kids today, they have good people in their corner and they also got bad people, but they have to decide for themselves which is which, because you know, it's very easy to fall in a trap and don't achieve your goal. The biggest thing is you got to focus and look ahead of you and achieve your goal, whatever that might be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's some great advice right there, man. So I want to jump right into this, man. Like, who introduced you to the game?
Well, if you ever been to Queensbridge got 6 blocks, and each block, except for like 12th Street, 40 side of 12th Street, and 41 side of 10th Street, they don't have basketball courts. All the other blocks have basketball courts. So my block was the dime block. We call it the dime. It's 10th Street. That's where everybody came to play. You know, we had all the ball. We had the players. And that's where the night games, United Queens games, when I was a kid watching the lights, under the lights, watching guys play, my block was the block that they played on. They had all the tournaments. So I'm playing on my block one day, and the first day that I met a brother named Ronnie Williams.
Yes.
We were 11 years old.
Yes.
Ronnie, God rest his dad, one of my dearest friends. Actually, he was my best friend. So Ronnie came on the block and said he had next. So my team won, and Ronnie and I started playing, and we beat them by like 2 points or whatever. And after the game, Ronnie said, "Yo, St. Rita's is having tryouts tomorrow. Why don't you come try out?" And I'm like, tryouts. I was like, you know, I never played no organized ball. I'm straightly street ball, you know, playing on the block. I mean, I never left my block unless I was going to school. So, you know what I'm saying, 11 years old. So I said, yo, you know, I'm down, but you got to ask my mother, you know, just like that. And I took him upstairs. He asked my mother, Ronnie, and she said yes. And Ronnie came and got me the next morning. And I went and tried out with St. Rita's, and I had cut off jean shorts with Converse, canvas Converse sneakers. I had no basketball.
Hold up. The first second of play. Yo, that's what I tried down at Lincoln with. I had some cut off shorts and some Chuck Taylors and a white t-shirt.
Yep, same here, man. Same here.
Wow.
You know, you could tell fresh off the block. You know, didn't have no shorts, nothing, man. Tried out, made the team, and then that's when everything just went skyrocket from there, from CYO ball. And you know, we won it our first year, we won it the second year. Then I started playing in citywide with Ronnie, with everybody, you know, Vic and Vern.
Yep.
You know, because we had a lot of talent in Queensbridge during that 80 to 82 class. You know, to me, the toughest class was 81. You know, I got to be a little biased because, you know, that was my class.
Got you.
Yeah, we had some players all around the city. But once I played CYO and then, you know, going around to different boroughs playing different Catholic schools, you know, then citywide, that was, you know, that's when I met Tyrone Whitehead and Buzz Matthews. I mean, they was playing with a brother named Gil. First time I met Gil.
Gil Reynolds, rest in peace. My first coach.
Rest in peace. Good man. But the first time I met Gil, we was playing up in Gun Hill Road for the citywide championship. And I have never seen a coach like that before in my life. I mean, explosive, but he was a good coach, and he had his boys playing.
Yeah.
And we beat them, and that was, so yeah, that's how I got started with Ronnie Williams. I owe him everything for my career, for getting me into basketball, organized basketball, and teaching me how to play indoors instead of outdoors.
Salute to the legend Ronnie Williams.
Yeah.
Queensbridge, man. Where stars are born.
Yeah,
right? Chad, like when you think about that line, right? Where stars are born, that place where stars are born, so many different personalities and great people that came out of that housing projects out in Queens, man, and in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And probably still counting the next generation of kids that's probably gonna come out there and do some great things.
Mm-hmm.
What was life for you as a youngster growing up in Queensbridge, during your time when you was coming up?
Well, it was all fun because there was so many kids on the block, and and also a lot of headaches because the kids that you hanging out on the block, you also going to school with, you in class with. So the knucklehead things you was doing on the block, you doing in class, you doing in school. So I'm gonna tell you, up until 4th grade, I was nothing but headaches to my parents. I was a problem child until when my mother took me out of the school, 111, took off. That's the block. Everybody from the block go to 111 or 70s PS 76. So I was at 111 and I was getting in trouble. And my mother took me out of the school and sent me all the way out to Astoria, Queens. I went to a school called 122. Then I became the most pleasantest kid on the block. And I was playing ball. And everything just changed. Just that transformation, just changing schools, changed my whole demeanor and the way I went about things. And then I was focusing on basketball. One of the biggest things for me that made me focus on basketball more is because at that time when I turned 12, my mother and father got divorced, and my father left, and he's the one that truly introduced me to basketball because I used to go watch him play up at Reed Center with all the other old heads, his group of guys that played, and that's how I really was introduced to basketball. But I harnessed my skills on the block. But once I got to 122, then I started playing like in the 5th grade. I'm playing on varsity for elementary school, and then when I went to junior high, I went to 125, and I made the team at 7th grader on the team. And my first year, we won the whole city, junior high school city championship. Playing against, we playing the semifinals against our local guys from 204, because that's another school from Queensbridge. And they had Jeannie Wardren, Tim Banks, my man Anthony Meadows, Alfonso Clark. And I know I'm leaving out some. They had Vic Envern on that team. And it was just Ronnie and I and a few other guys, and we beat them, and we went to the championship game. So, like I said, there was a lot going on in Queensbridge, and there was never any boring games for my age group until the big guys get on the court, tell you, kick us off the court. Had to go through that too.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the one thing that I can say that's missing right now is the tutelage from the older guys playing against the young guys on the court. That don't happen anymore.
Right.
There was a period of time where, we had mass incarceration. We had a lot of drugs in our community. Mm-hmm. And that kind of put a lot of the older guys in bad situations. So the kids kind of missed generations. Yeah. And you had the guys who didn't play ball. They were working or moving away from the neighborhood. So you didn't really get that. Right. Yeah. That what we call training. Right now, we have kids guys teaching and girls teaching basketball as a trainer / coach or just as a trainer.
Right.
And I think there's totally two different ways to learn. We
Mhm.
kids learn best on the job, right? That on the job training,
Mhm.
because there's a process. You got to work to get on the court, right? That's the work. You have to get on the
Right.
court. Then
Right.
you have to learn how to stay on the court.
Exactly.
Then you get to that elite level. If you lose, you don't want to lose. But if you lose, the person who got next is holding the spot for you.
Yeah, if you're good enough, yeah.
If that's the elite level. That's that. That's when you that guy from around the way. You're like, all right, if you lose, I'm gonna hold the spot for you, right? So there's different stages of the game that we all learned that kind of helped us, and then we got the fundamentals taught to us by coaches and put in real game situations that kind of help us excel. But I think that first training stages was the guys in the neighborhood, the older guys.
Yeah, that's so true. So true.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would add to that is, for me, it was the older guys that used to kick me off the court. And then one day I rebelled and I was like, no, I'm not getting off. And they was like, all right, you can come play what you play. And right from that point there, I never got off the court. Wow. Whenever they came on the court, I was able to play with them. And that was a confidence booster right there for me.
Right.
Because them guys always used to kick me off when I was like 10, 11 years old. They used to kick me off the court.
Or if you're real badass, you grab the ball and kick it or throw it over the fence.
But then you run it because they chasing you.
You got to make sure you bring a nice ball that next time you're never going to play.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Who are your early memories of watching basketball on television, right? Do you remember like your early memories of watching basketball on television and who was playing, if you can remember?
Well, we all looked at the NBA. My favorite player growing up was Bob McAdoo.
Tough.
Bob McAdoo, Alex English, because I love scorers. I love guys that attack, attack the rim, shoot the jump shot. Those are my favorite players. Bob and Alex English, and I even like Dan Issel.
Dan Issel, tough.
I mean, now
blue collar tough.
Just work hard. You know what I mean? So those are my favorite players when I was coming up. And then, of course, Adrian Dantley came along, but I knew him from playing with Ray Martin. And, and that's one of the guys I looked up to, him, Roy Beekman. All these guys are from the block. They was from the neighborhood.
Roy Beekman, yes, rest in peace. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Rest in peace. I was just at his funeral a couple of weeks ago, and I got to see all the guys that I used to look up to when I was growing up in Queensbridge. They all came back. Paul Hardy, Paul Means. I mean, I had a plethora of guys, and that I still stay in touch with to this day when I see them, when I go back to the neighborhood. Matter of fact, I'm going to see them this weekend, some of them. But, I always looked up to those guys. This is like I said earlier, they all went to Monte Cristi and LIC, and then they went to college, They went to Potsdam State, Ray went to Notre Dame. There was one, Greg Coles, that went to Clemson. He came out of Monte Cristi too. I mean, it was so many. And, Andy Walker was our first professional NBA player coming out of Queensbridge, and he went to Niagara. And he got drafted by the Utah Jazz. What they? No, they was the New Orleans Jazz.
New Orleans Jazz, right? There was the New Orleans Jazz. And was it like 7 rounds back then?
It was like maybe even more, but I think it was 7 rounds.
I know maybe it was 14, and then it went to 7. They sliced it to half.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think at that time they just expanded the league, because that's when they inducted the ABA. They merged the ABA and NBA together. What was that, 76, 77?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But yeah, so I looked up to a lot of them, and I give all homage to them. and besides, guys like Joe Bostic, Lou Dalmeda, my coach Jim Gatto, my coach from St. John's Military Academy, Coach Tim Rickard, Gary Rickard, excuse me. So, I had some good people in my corner guiding me,
Yeah,
like
I want to
like
go
most
through.
of us did. Most
Yeah,
of us had.
I want to go through those names. We're gonna go through those names after this question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the best player in the neighborhood? Like, who was the guy in the neighborhood that everyone wanted to be like? When you was coming up, when you was a youngster, and
Right.
I was going to the park, who was the guy everyone was looking at?
Well, I had a couple of them. I had two actually that we wanted to be like. One was Ray Martin, and the other one was Roy Beekman. Those were the two guys. Ray was silky. He was very smooth. He used to glide through the air, and Ray was the commander. He controlled the team. He had the ball. He was the point guard, and he was a heck of a point guard too. Yeah, them two. I would say them two.
Wow. What we call Joe Bostic the godfather of Queens basketball?
Mm-hmm. You can honestly say that. I would definitely say that, especially for my era and also the era before me, like Sam Worthington and them. I mean, there was Ray Haskins.
Yeah.
You had your coaches in different boroughs, like Ted from the Bronx.
And Lester Roberts from Brooklyn, who kind of
Lester Roberts. Well, Lester and Ray, you can't say Ray without Lester.
Right.
Because that's Brooklyn, USA.
That's right.
I didn't even touch on the trips that we used to do from Queensbridge to Brooklyn, USA on the G train, taking it all the way to the end and then walking a half a mile to get to the doggone gym for a game. But when you 12, 13 years old, that's nothing, but it was, going to St. John's Rec Center, but Leicester, them two there. But Joe, yes, no question. Joe Bostic, I would call him the godfather of Queens when it came, because like I said, Joe had no barrier where he go Brooklyn, he'll go to Queens, he can be in Manhattan, and he grab players. Joe was the man.
Wow.
And he was loved. Everybody that played for Joe felt the love. They felt it.
Listen, I got a guy who came from, my era, right? He talks, my guy Ted Portwine, he talks about
Portwine, yeah.
Yeah, he talks about, Coach Bostic and then so many others that came on here who just would mention his name. And I'd be like, damn, I'm hearing this guy name a lot.
Right.
Because for me, I was a young guy coming up, and to watch some of the great players that came to Brevoort to play, that was like, my first introduction.
Right.
But then watching on a grand scale, I told Sam this the other day, I watched him play at City College, and it was just amazing. That was the first time I seen pro basketball players play off the court in the tournament.
Right.
Not in the NBA or not on television. It's like right in front of my face.
Right. That was the Pro-Am, wasn't it?
Yes.
College, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you was coming out, right? What year you came out of school?
81.
81. So Tom Kachowski,
when I came out of high school, Tom.
He was started in 79.
I met Tom. No, I met Tom in 78. I met Tom my freshman year at Monte Cristi. Tom's been around, and very good, all around good guy. Always had a nice thing to say. He was very uplifting. But But I think everybody in New York, if you play basketball, you knew Tom. Everybody knew Tom, and the impact that he had on our careers because of his write-ups and his valuation of you. And he was genuine. He was, I mean, if you didn't cut it, he still gave you play,
Yeah,
and praise because he saw other parts of your game. That others don't look at. So, but Tom was always a good all-around guy, and and bless him, because hope he sleep in peace because they really, and he's a godfather of basketball, New York City basketball.
What we talk about, that's definitely a fact because that's something we're trying to pass down to the kids now, right? Because when I speak to the kids, I ask them, do they know or have they ever heard of Tom Pichowski?
Right.
They may have heard of him, one or two. It's not a lot.
Right.
Some of them never heard of him at all, and I think this is our chance to bridge that gap to let them know how important he was to the city and what we could do to keep his name alive and honor him in a special way by bringing the public school and Catholic schools to play against each other. Now, when you was in high school, did you guys play against the public schools, or they kept it separate back then as well?
No, we scrimmage.
Yeah, that's normal.
Public schools, but also we played them also. I remember when my freshman year at Monte Christi, we played in my senior king tournament.
Yes.
And that year, Morris was the number one public school in New York City. They had Dave Crosby, Alex Coulter.
What school is that now? What school is Morris now?
Morris was from the Bronx.
I know, but I'm trying to figure out what school is it now.
Oh, I have no idea.
Wow,
all I can tell you is Monte Christi is known as St. John's Prep now.
Oh, is Morris okay? Is the Morris High School is still around? Collaborative Studies is still around.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still around.
But that year they had the number one team. They were the number one team. And it's funny that you mentioned this because when we played in the Monsignor King tournament, we was killing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Killing them. And one player that you left out in your introduction was Phil Smith.
I said I knew I left somebody out.
No, but it's okay. But I'm gonna recognize because Phil, and plus I'm gonna see him next month. He wouldn't let me down if he's looking at this. But Phil Smith was at that point the baddest guard coming out of Queensbridge. And I mean, he was a year ahead of Jeannie and all, but I'm saying Phil was tough. Right?
Where did he go to school at? When
he left Monte Christi, he went to the University of New Mexico. He played there with Kenny Page.
Yeah, Kenny Page from Staten Island.
Yeah, Kenny Page. Yeah.
So did Kenny? Did he leave Ohio State and went to
New Mexico?
Got you. Now, hold on. Before you start, is it me? Is that New York City guys don't do well in the Big Ten for some reason?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna just say this: we had quite a few guys that went to the Big Ten. Now, era before me, it was two guys that went to university. Well, it was three really, but Wesley Matthews is not. He's from Connecticut.
Right.
So, but it was Skip Jackson from Queensbridge.
Okay.
Larry Petty that went to Powell Memorial. They went to University of Wisconsin. And Larry finished there. Skip didn't finish at Wisconsin, but Larry went 4 years at University of Wisconsin. But he had a stellar career at Wisconsin. And if I'm not mistaken, what's his name from Brooklyn? What was it? Nate Sims. Who went to Ohio State, right?
I'm not quite sure.
I think
I could get on and ask Coach Haskins for sure.
I think he went to Ohio State. He had a good career too. And there was another brother, Campbell. What's his name? He played with the Lakers. I think it was Tony Campbell, right?
Yeah, but he's from T-Neck.
Okay. Oh, I thought he was from Brooklyn.
Nah, he went to T-Neck. He went to T-Neck. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I went to Fairleigh Dickinson, so that's why I know that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Nate Sims, Ohio State. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a while ago. 22 games. I think he only played. It's only got him for 1 year that they had.
Oh, he only played 1 year there? Okay.
Right.
But yeah, so
that's crazy. Yeah, I just, me having this show now, you hear all these colleges and people, a lot of guys and girls who go to the Big Ten, they wind up transferring, and you start seeing the patterns. Like, is our game fit for certain conferences and certain schools? Right, we come from the inner city. The Big Ten is like the football conference, right? Everybody's strong. The basketball is kind of rigid. It's not as fluent as the ACC or Big East, right? It's not as fluid as the game doesn't move the same way. And I think a lot of times us New York guys, we feel stagnant in those conferences. Just saying, not everyone.
I think it has a lot to do with your style of play.
Yes.
That because the Big Ten is a more physical conference, and it always have been. But I tell you, when I was at Marquette, I loved playing against the Big Ten. Because it was a physical game, and and I was a physical player. I love the pound, but yeah, it's definitely a different type of game, no question.
How was your transition into Christie, right? You coming from Queensbridge. It's a Catholic school. You came out mostly a public school kid, and now you got to transition to Catholic school. How was that transition for you?
It was smooth at first, and then when once basketball season started, it even made it even a little more smoother. Believe it or not, I always had my goal was to go to Catholic high school because I wanted to prepare myself for college and to get the best education that I could and really test myself. So that was my choice to do it. But it's an interesting story how I got to Christie because I was still in junior high and I was in 8th grade. I just finished 8th grade, about to go to 9th grade in junior high. And, and I was going to have a team where we was going to take it again, but believe it or not, they took it without me because they ran the table the next year. Then I went to Christie because of Tony Red Bruin. He approached me and asked me to come. And I'm like, once again, you got to talk to my mother. You know what I mean? So, and it all worked out. That's how I ended up at Christie.
Man. Again, I feel embarrassed to say this. When I was younger, Christie had already closed, and I had no idea about the history.
Mm-hmm.
I start to do the show, and you start to realize, like, Vern Fleming, that's right, he's from New York. We used to watch him on the game, and they used to put from New York City, Queens, New York. It doesn't really kick in. It's like,
right.
I hear his name, like, in the streets, kids not saying Vern Fleming, but if they realize and got to see him play and understood the value he brought to every team he played on, you would be screaming his name.
Right. That's so true.
How far were y'all apart? Was he older than you, or were you ahead of him? How did that work?
So when I was a freshman, Vern was a sophomore, and Tony Ray Bruin and Phil Smith were juniors. So Phil, Vern, and I came in together to Christie, and that's when we was able to rebuild or rekindle Christie's glory days. Because it's funny because earlier you just said when you was coming out, Christie was no longer. I was the last graduating class of Christie. The class of 81
sense.
was the last graduating class of Monte Cristi.
Makes sense.
So saying that, when we all went, and Vern was a year ahead of me. So that's how we was apart. But we always played. I was always the youngest of the group because I played with all of those guys coming up. So they always called me the baby of the bunch.
That's cool. You got to see how the game was supposed to be played, and those guys did at such a high level. Tony Red Bruin, I heard, was such an incredible athlete.
Yes.
That a lot of things he was doing back then, guys are just doing today. Right? And a lot of time when we seeing it for the first time, it looks strange to us, and it's hard to explain. What were some of the things you seen him do on the court that you were just amazed by?
Well, one thing, I got tired of him dunking on me in practice. So I started getting I started upping my game, not being passive because I'm the youngest on the team. But Red had always, when he developed his little 15, 20-foot jump shot, to me, that was the most impressive part about his game because you already knew he had the amazing jumping ability to get alley-oops or to, when the ball hit off the back of the rim, just stand there and watch him because he's like an octopus. His hands is all over the place and he's going after that ball and he's attacking the rim. I think it was the most amazing thing I've seen him do is when we played in the Catholic School Championship game against Holy Cross at St. John's University. I just fouled out of the game, right? I fouled out. And Vern was on the free throw line and hit the back of the rim and popped up. Glenn McMillan, Derek Scott, both on one side, each boxing out. Red went over both of them and he caught it with two hands and just two-hand dunk over them. Nasty.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
No running start. He didn't get a running start?
No, just a hop. Just one step hop. Boom. There's only one other play I ever seen that had jumping ability like that. And then I know there's gonna be people gonna tell me yeah, or no. And that's Artie Green.
Artie, another name. When we talk about these names, it's so legendary. What kind of player was Artie Green?
He was a beast. I mean, I watched Artie when he was I think he went to Taft. It was Taft.
Yes, Taft.
He played at Taft. And I was at a game. It was playing at City College. It was Clinton and Taft. Artie on the free throw line. His teammate was shooting free throws. Artie just standing there next to, I think, because at that time Clinton had 2'6'9", 1'6'10", 1'6'9". And Artie holding his shorts, not paying attention. 2 free throws. On the second free throw, that ball hit the tip of that rim and bounced up. Artie just took off and caught it with one hand and just flooded. I mean, like ignited like a rocket off the floor, man. That's when I was like, whoa. And
these guys wasn't lifting weights. These guys wasn't in the gym pushing up. No, it was so.
We didn't do that in the 70s.
Right.
It wasn't until you got to college that you had to do all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's and that was the transformation because now then you start thinking about your body, being stronger. In high school, it was all natural ability. You know what I mean? It was all natural ability and just, playing your best and outplaying the next guy. That was it.
I will look at some of the pictures of some of the old guys, we talk about the Harlem Wrens and those guys, right? The Black Fives and all those guys, and you look at their body structure, their muscle tone that they had,
Right.
and you say to yourself, where did these guys get all that muscle from?
Right.
You know,
Right.
special, man. And some of the things they did was unprecedented back then. You know, we look at it now as you know, oh, that was old school, but a lot of things that we were doing, not knowing that these guys was doing that way back then.
Right. Right.
You know, we got to have more eyes on us.
That's true. That's true.
So at Monte Christie, right? You guys had a very good team. You dominated up to a point. Why transfer to another school? Now, was that a prep school? Was that after your 4 years was up, or you went your senior year to St. John's Military?
No, actually, when I completed my freshman year at Monte Christie, I did not finish strongly in class. I failed like 3 classes. So I went to summer school, made up 2, and I said that I was going to be more focused when I started my sophomore year. So I went back to school. The first week, man, I was like, this is not going right. So then I turned to Joe Bostic because my best friend was already at St. John's in Wisconsin. And I said, Joe, if I'm going to get out of high school, if I'm going to go to college, I got to leave. And Joe looked at me and was like, what are you talking about? I said, Joe, I got to leave. And he's like, you have everything here, you know? I said, yeah, I know, but I want to keep everything, but I got to leave. You know, so I was the only 14-year-old at that school chose to go to that school.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yes, definitely.
So all the kids, all the cadets that were there, their parents made them go. They had no choice, or they were court ordered to go. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, but besides Ronnie, you know, Ronnie decided to go there because, you know, he did his freshman year at Cardinal Hayes because Ronnie was a year ahead of me too. And I was like, I got to go. And so Joe said, I'll call you back. The next day I was on a flight leaving for Wisconsin. You know, and I didn't even get an opportunity to talk to my mother until Joe called me back. And I told her, I said, I got to pack. I'm leaving to go to Wisconsin. And all I had to do is say, I'm going to school with Ronnie. She's like, okay. That's all I had to say.
Ronnie solidified everything, man.
Ronnie was her third son.
Wow.
You know, my big brother. So, yeah. And so my sophomore and junior year, I was at St. John's Military Academy. And then after my junior year, I said, okay, I'm ready to go back to New York. And, you know, and put it to the test that I'm ready for class, you know, being around the opposite sex, everything that I learned those 2 years. And that's exactly what happened. You know, I tell people all the time that there's a method to your madness, but you know what's best for you and what you need to do. And at an early age, I knew that, and I did it. You know, no one else made the decision for me. I made my own decision on doing that, and I'm glad I did because it made me the man I am now. You know, it was just important for me because, like I said at the beginning of the show, that you know I wanted to go where the others from my neighborhood where they were. You know, going to college, playing college ball, and, you know, get my education. And, you know, I wanted to live a normal, productive life, be productive in society. And, you know, because basketball kept me from being a statistic, like most of us.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to be caught up by no mistaken identity or just wrong place at the wrong time. And, you know, things just went, because we grew up in that era where things like that happened. And, you know, especially being from New York. And I, you know, so I didn't want to be like that. So I utilized my talents and, you know, and did the education and got where I am now.
Man, you had the presence of mind
At an early age, man.
At an early age to say, I need to get out.
Right.
I need to save myself.
Yeah. Too many distractions. And I fell into it. And I'm not saying like in the streets and stuff like that, but I'm talking about the distractions of girls and, things like that. So I needed to table it, put a pause to it, and that's what I did when I went out to Wisconsin, because I was out there. I was in the middle, and listen, I was in between Madison, Wisconsin and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But I tell you, when Sam Worthing was at Marquette, Sam used to come get me every weekend to go hang out with him in Milwaukee.
So you already knew you done laid the seeds down. Like, what about I could come back to Marquette and do this the right.
Well, you know what? When I decided on Marquette, because I'm gonna tell you, I was on my way to UNLV.
Ooh.
UNLV I was gonna go out there with Sid.
Sid, right? Yeah, Sid.
I was gonna go out there with Sid and Richie and my man Richie, the animal.
Richie Adams, yes.
Adams. I was gonna go out there with my man because Rich was playing with me with Joe Bostic.
Wow.
So, but I wanted to go to UNLV. I've been wanting to go to UNLV ever since my freshman year. But it was very close between UNLV, Georgia, because of Vern and Dominique, and then also it was Marquette. I had only one stipulation when I was coming out of high school, and it was non-negotiable. After spending 2 years at that military boarding school, I wasn't having a roommate. I wasn't rooming, sharing no shower with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I had to have my own. And Georgia talking about athletic dorms, Dominique could be a roommate. I'm like, no, that's not going to work for me. I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, Glenn? I was not sharing no room with nobody after the military school. I had my fill of being around a bunch of guys.
Marquette
road trips, Marquette came through. And that's how I ended up at Marquette. Georgia, they told me 1 year. UNLV was like, you got to stay 1 year. No, non-negotiable. And that's how I ended up at Marquette.
Wow. Now,
South Alabama wanted to give me whatever I wanted, but I wasn't going to no Mobile, Alabama.
It's like I'm not going down there with the Freedom March.
No.
You did that right.
Y'all would have saw me on Jet magazine hanging.
Wow.
So no.
What can you tell me, about my guy Curtis Cornbread Pauls real quick? Hope he's watching, Cornbread. Hope you watching, brother.
So Cornbread and I first met on the Gauchos. He was one of the older guys, him, Dave Brenton, all of them, Mike Eddie Edwards, all of them guys was there. Mike Colombo. There was a crew of them, right? They were all on the Gauchos. And we used to all play. I'm the youngest, once again, the youngest on the team. So, everybody they take me under their wing and, but when time to get on that court, I'm not the youngest. We out there to play. I think that's where I gained respect from a lot of the older guys, because these guys were like seniors. They're like seniors, and and they see this young boy coming out there playing with them, can play with them, But I mean, I was always a humble type guy anyway. I was always quiet. One of them called me the Quiet Assassin. That was a nickname of mine.
Right.
The Gauchos. But yeah, but his brother and I became really, really close. Troy.
Okay, Truesdale. Yeah.
Troy Truesdale. That was my guy. That was and also Mario Ellie. That was my guy. Those were my boys there. We were all in Ireland together. Well, we played on separate teams. And then the following year, we were all up in Portugal. So, yeah.
That's crazy. Listen, I just reading off some of your stats, right? 1,027 points.
We're at Marquette.
At Marquette.
You know, the thing with that, only played 3 years at Marquette. If I played my last year at Marquette, I would have been in the top 3 at Marquette.
I was just about to say,
okay, I'm sorry.
Nah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Because I wanted to know, it's like, okay, so they did in college and knowing the reputation, did you stay all 4 years?
No.
And how did that work out, and why didn't you stay
so
4 years?
So what happened when I played 2 years with Hank Raymonds, and then I played a year with Rick Majerus. And then when it was coming to my senior year, I had to go to summer school, right? So I had to make up some classes. And the deal was that we came to a mutual agreement that I would come home for a year, go to John Jay, take classes, and then come back. So I did all of that, and when it was time to come back, the rug was pulled under me. So and I didn't like cry about it or nothing like that. So it stopped. 2 things happened there. I could have transferred, or I could have went hardship, which was pretty much unheard of.
Explain to our audience what hardship was, and compared to today.
Well, back then, yeah, compared to today, it's nothing. I mean, it's the norm. But hardship is when you leave school early to go into the draft and to go play professional basketball, into the NBA draft. And back in my time, in 83, 84, even though there were guys that did it, but it was only a handful that did it. The same way it was only a handful that went straight out of high school during that time. I think at that time it was only like 4 guys that went straight out of high school, 5 at the most. So hardship, there was only another handful of guys that went hardship. But I would have taken my chance in that 84 draft. And then, I wanted to go out also for to the Olympic tryouts. I didn't get the invite, which was, that was a clear sign. Now, 30 years later, that was a clear sign that what occurred was going to happen, but I didn't think that because of my stats as well as the character I had on the team and everything. So I thought that they had my back, but it's a business, and
now
that's the part.
But now today, if you was in that situation, you could opt to go back to school. Back then, once you came out, that was it, right?
Right. You broke up a little bit. What'd you ask again, Glenn?
Oh, sorry about that. I said back then when you came out as a hardship player, right? And you saw or you felt there was a situation where you might not get drafted. We talking about 30 years ago, you didn't have the same things in the most media that we have today. But today, you're allowed to go back to school. Back then, you couldn't go. Once you declared for the draft, it got
it was done. Yeah, exactly.
Done.
Exactly. But I never declared, so I did go to John Jay for a year, and then I ended up the next year I went to a Division III school and finished up there. It was fine because the main goal was for me to get my degree as well as continue to play. Even if it wasn't. And I'm gonna tell you something. During my junior year, I didn't even think about the NBA. I wanted to see the world. So I wanted to see Europe. I wanted to go and play overseas. I knew what I wanted. And I was able to do that. I did it for 10 and a half years, almost 11 years.
Wow.
And, then when it was time to hang up the sneakers, I had no problems doing that. But one thing I would say, when Mario came back home and he was on Golden State and Mario was in the league, I come home in the summertime. Like I used to come home like April, May. First phone call was to Mario. Wherever he was, I was going to go see him for a week. And a week ended up being a month. so that was my guy. So like when he was with Portland, I went to go see him and Rod Strickland in Portland together. I went and visited them. When Mario was with Houston, I did the whole playoffs with him for his first year with Houston. You know what I mean? I'm in Phoenix. I'm in doggone New York. I mean, we all over the place. I did the whole playoffs with him. That was the best summer ever. You know what I mean?
How did you feel seeing your guy, NBA champion, throwing up the choke sign, doing him, being a New York guy yourself? How did you feel, watching your guy do all of those things and experience that?
I was happy. I was ecstatic for him. I mean, because it's like we all did it, I mean, in the sense that, we talked about this earlier. I had people that asked me why you didn't pledge when you was in school. I'm like, I'm already in a fraternity, and it's for life.
Right.
I said, for one, I'm in the Marquette basketball. Then secondly, I'm a New York City basketball player. We're a family.
Facts.
We all recognize each other. We know each other. We know the history. And that's the one point that I will make to the kids today. Learn your history. Because you know what? The path that you're going, there's many that paved that path for you. Learn your history, and especially New York City history. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important. But no, I was ecstatic for Mario, man. We partied. And I wasn't partying because I'm just hanging with him. I'm overly happy for him, So that's my brother. So I was ecstatic for him,
man. See,
I was happy for Kenny Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna say, seeing anybody from New York, right, on a big stage, you're happy for them. You're happy for them, because it makes the city, it makes us feel proud, and it makes us look good. Even when we go on different places across this country and across the world.
Exactly.
Man. I want to go off track for a second, man, and talk about the NIL, right? And then we're gonna come back. The NIL. What do you think about the NIL right now, and what's going on with college players getting paid or being able to get paid right now?
Well, different era once again, because to me it was a privilege to be able to showcase and get a free education and everything. I know times are different, and everybody feeling the NCAA's is making a lot of money off the likeness and all of this of the kids, which they've been doing since when I was in school. Yeah. So, but I got difference of opinion of it, but whatever makes everybody happy, and if you can get it, I'm okay with that. But for me, it's more about you and taking care of you, but they also looking at taking care of their families. So I guess I'm a little running around the question a little bit, but
but suppose you was able to take care of your family, right? You probably would have to declare hardship,
right? Or you just work harder and get there. You know what I mean? However you can. But the point is that the times are different, and this is what it is now with the NIL, and I'm happy for them, but some kids are getting what they don't deserve, some kids are. Not everybody's in that boat, but you know what? But the thing is, it's not done equally. It's only picking up the cream of the crops, and it's not equal to me. That's the only part about it that I have a problem. That one player on your team's getting paid and everybody else just getting their scholarship money. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the equal in it? Really?
Listen, my guy who coaches college basketball say, yo, Pooh, this guy's riding the bench getting 80,000, 100,000.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they all getting paid. Like you get guys who mid-major guys, they walking up to the coaches like, what's the bag looking like? Right. I know a kid who, was fortunate to get a bag, get his parents a house. Well, that was going on back. That was going on back in the days too, but it just wasn't called NIL. I'm gonna blow a check for myself for that one. For sure. It just wasn't called NIL back then. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, but overall, I think it's good that college basketball players can get paid. But then on the other hand, I think the NCAA said, you know what? Since we're going to have to pay these guys, let's create the transfer portal because we'll disrupt everything.
Right.
So now we turn our kids into quitters.
Yeah.
Not all, because some need to move on for better situations. There are horrible programs and horrible coaches out there that do some players dirty.
Right.
But for the most part, if a kid, tell a kid run too many suicides or laps, or to go to the weight room, he like, I'm putting myself in the transfer portal. I'm going somewhere else.
So this kid's getting 80,000 for sitting there.
Yeah, that just
I'm stuck on that.
Yes, well, the dude on the bench is getting 80,000.
I'm happy for them. Wow.
No, it's not just one. It's not just one. They all are getting paid.
Okay.
They some have larger, a little bit more than others, but
right.
Everybody's getting paid from what I'm hearing.
Wow. I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Me either. When I saw, look, Bronny James is still the number one on NIL.
Yeah, he's getting like $3 million, right?
How about 7?
So my question is, do you think it's because who his father is, or?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because look, I think he's a good player.
I think DJ Wagner is better. If
his name and likeness wasn't what it was, he'll be he'll be just not another kid, but he'll be a 3-star.
Right.
Be a nice 3-star player. Very, very smart, ball player. But again, when we're watching this kid since he was like 2 years old, it's like being, Princess Di's son or something like that. Is if you just follow the blueprint and do, you don't have to be exceptionally good. You can just be okay, and you're going to get those accolades. But yeah, DJ, DeJuan Carter, son, the junior, he's crazy. DJ, he's discussed from Camden. I was just sad that they messed their season up. They got a fight at the end. They got into a fight at the end of the year that messed their season up. But he's still gonna be okay. Do you know what college he's going to?
Who's going to?
DJ Wagner.
You broke up. Oh, Wagner, isn't he going to Is he going to Kentucky?
Probably so. That's his dad played for
because he's the number 2. He's the number 2 player coming out, right?
Yeah. He's going to Kentucky Wildcats. Yeah. Because the dad played for Calipari when he was at Memphis, right?
Who
DeJuan.
Dad, yeah. But see, I know I played against his grandfather.
Talk about it. Yeah. 3 McDonald All-American.
McCray brother. and the McCray brothers.
Yeah,
So,
from Mount Vernon.
and then
Wow.
then all of a sudden Billy Thompson came in the picture. They had that little Jersey and New York connection.
Right.
Danny
Right.
Crum. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who was just somebody that you battled against? Somebody that was your rival for a while in New York City, that when y'all played, people showed up because they knew what they were going to get that night.
Let's go by what year you talking about. Because every year was a different. It was. Well, look, I'll tell you this. Coming up, it was two players I hated playing against. One was my guy Mario Ellie, and the other one was Nigel Wallace.
Ooh.
Those are the only two guys that when I saw them across the court, I knew I was in a game.
Mario was tough. Was he that tough in person on a guard? Like
Mario played hard, and he had this unique game. Look, I'm telling you, at doggone, the first time I met Mario was at the Whitney M. Young, 139th, at the Whitney M. Young, and that's when I met Nigel Wallace. Them guys, man, I was like, damn, it was a battle. Yep, and it was like that all the way up to my senior year.
Wow.
But yeah, them two.
That's crazy. That is absolutely bonkers right there. Your coaching staff, right? Who's the head coach at Marquette when you was there?
Hank Raymonds.
How was you guys' relationship?
How what?
How was you guys' relationship?
My freshman year, it was tumultuously. It was hard because, if I had to do anything different, is that Hank would have had to come visit me, the head coach, instead of the assistant coach. Gotcha. Because that's who's going to be making the decisions. That's who you're going to be playing for, and it's not the assistant coach. So my freshman year, my first 2 months of my freshman year of the season was hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. After the Christmas tournament in Milwaukee, I was ready to transfer, which was unheard of, but I was about to do it. And after having a long talk with Hank, I decided to stay. And then that's when everything turned around, because then he recognized where he's coming from, and then I recognized where he recognized where I'm coming from, and I recognize where he's coming from. And because, as a New Yorker, you step on the court, you bust somebody's ass, you got a spot.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You
That's
out playing, out hustling, you got a spot. College basketball was a little different, and then that's when the light bulb went off on me, that it was, more of a team sport. And, even though I did play as a team, I was a team player, but also I was always focused on getting mines too. And then we went, because I was a competitor. But yeah, I would definitely sit down with the head coach before making any decision, because he's the one that makes the final decisions. And I learned that the hard way, that I didn't do that. So, but everything worked out, But when Hank gave it up after 2 years, then Rick Majerus became my coach. And Rick
fun
Majerus,
guy to play for. It seemed like he's such a fun guy to play for.
Yeah. He's Bobby Knight, Dean Smith, and doggone he all rolled in one.
What?
You know what I mean? He was a oh my God, he was a fundamental nut, everything. God rest his blessed soul.
Yes.
He passed and everything, but Rick was he was a tough one. You know, he was a tough one. He wasn't laid back like he projected that he would be. Once he got under those lights and that pressure, he changed. He did a 360, and I think when he got to Utah, that's when he started to relax.
Yes, that's when I saw him. Yes,
and when he was at St. Louis, he started to relax as a coach. But then again, he had health issues. He's the only person I ever met in my life that has Pepsi or Coca-Cola with his cornflakes. All right. So, and I'm not saying nothing that anybody that played under him don't know or witness.
No milk?
No milk, soda. Look, I would tell you, when Rick asked you to go to dinner after practice, you didn't turn it down because that was a hell of a meal.
Wow, that's legendary. That's the first time I ever heard that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Who was your junior year, your breakout year?
No, actually, my sophomore year was my breakout year, and that was the year with Glenn, Doc Rivers, and I, and we had a pretty good year. And I individually, I had a great year. You know, yeah. You know, because my freshman year, the second half of the season is when I started to play. You know, and we went to the NCAAs. We made it to the second round. In both NCAA games, I played 15 minutes. You know, as a freshman, that's good. But I also averaged 10 points in those 2 games and 9 rebounds. You know, I was the third leading rebounder on the team in just half a season. My freshman year, and then my sophomore year, I led them in rebounding, and I was second in scoring as a sophomore. My junior year, I led the team in scoring and rebounds.
That's crazy. And you had an all-time shooting percentage of 51.3%, which is crazy.
Yeah, but also look at the assists. I didn't have many assists.
Oh, no. And your fourth and block shots. Yeah, no assists up there at all. No assists.
Look, my freshman year, I played 26 games. I had 13 assists.
Wow.
That's the one stat that I always remember.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, the reason why, Glenn, just to be honest, because Hank stuck me in the paint, right? Because look, my freshman year when I went to Marquette, I had that mentality. I'm gonna be with the big boys, so it's you about to go to jail, time to beef up. so I went from 195 pounds as a freshman to 220 when I stepped on campus as a freshman. And I was just pounding them guys, right? My teammates. And then when he put me in the game, I remember my first game he put me in, we played against ODU. They had Bob McAdoo's nephew on the team, Ronnie McAdoo. And he was 240 pounds, right? Nobody can guard him. Hank waited to the second half to put me in the game. They had a brother named Mark West. You remember Mark West?
Yes.
He played at ODU. We in Norfolk, Virginia. My family is there. Made the trip from New York to come see me because I'm out there in Midwest and Milwaukee. So we there, and he put me in the game in the second half. And Ronnie McAdoo and I just pounded. I'm backing him up, and he's talking. He said, "You light." I was like, "Okay." I'm pounding, baby hooking him to death. Right. I ended that game with 15 points in one half, second half. And then at the end of the game, he comes up to me and said, "You only a freshman?" I said, "Yep."
No one didn't say we need to play this freshman some more.
Well, that's when it started. I started playing after that.
Got you.
We had no choice because everybody else was, except for Mark Murata, my teammate from Pittsburgh, everybody else was lighting the britches, and I had 2 7-footers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And one guard, Michael Wilson, who played 7 years with the Nets, he's from Memphis. He was a beast, and then they had Doc playing the 2. So, the only way I can crack the starting 5 is I had to beat out this guy, the small forward. and he was the coach's favorite.
Wow.
So I come off the bench. I'm fine with that. As long as I was playing, I was all right. I didn't have to start,
Right.
but I was getting mines every time I went in there. I mean, because in the second half of the season, we started playing like DePaul, Notre Dame, so they needed, and I was killing them.
What conference was you guys in again?
We
The
was
American?
independent. We was independent.
Independent, along with DePaul was independent as well, correct?
We all were, and I played Notre Dame, I played DePaul, I played Northwestern, we played Louisville every year.
What? Okay, let everybody understand the difference between the ACC, Big East, and independent conferences.
Well, the biggest thing is that back then in the 80s, the ACC, they had North Carolina, Duke, NC State, and Ernie can testify to this, Wake Forest, but that was it. I mean, they had other schools, but until this mix up, like with Syracuse is in there now, and
that's all football. That's all football.
Right. Football did it all, but the realignment, because ACC used to always be the Atlantic Conference, is to be the schools in the South, like going down there. I mean, they have Virginia, but my thing is that when I chose to go to Marquette because they was independent, because we get to play everybody. Like I played North Carolina when I was at Marquette, so we played top-notch schools and division high level talent, but we just wasn't in no conference. All we had to do was win 20 games and we in. That was it. And we did that every year except for my junior year because Glenn left.
He was such an important piece of the team. And I guess he was his freshman year 1977?
No, Glenn's freshman year was 1980.
Oh, 1980. Okay. So
right.
He's just a year, he's just a 2 years removed from you.
Yeah. No, he was a year removed from me. See, because I got a picture and I think I sent it to you. It was a picture of Glenn's senior year at the Boston shootouts.
Yes. That's
Ewing.
Right. That's right.
That was the all Boston shootouts team for that year. And Glenn and Chicago beat us in the semifinals because of Cosell.
What the hell did Cosell do? What? He's a flashy guy, right? I heard he was a real flashy and big talker.
He was a flashy guy, but Cosell also had a lot of mouth, man. It could go either way. Either he can deflate a player or he can energize a player.
Right.
Glenn came out. He had a knee brace on his knee in the first half, and we were killing him, right? Killing him. And Glenn, and then Cosell doing all this talking to him. Second half, Glenn came out without that knee brace on, and he licked Cosell's ass up.
Wow.
Oh, that was something else, man. We lost by 2 points in the semifinals.
They say, once Cosell went down to Oak Hill, he kind of disappeared and was the same as he was when he was with Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah. He when he left Hamilton, I think his junior year he left there, right? And and he went to Oak Hill. And when I left St. John's, I was going to go to Oak Hill and play with Cosell and a guy named Glenn Mayers and Calvin Duncan from Jersey. They were all at Oak Hill, and this is before Oak Hill got its recognition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was going to go there, but the coach at the time, he was trying to get a head coaching job on all of us. Try to get us to go to a certain school. Nobody had time for all of that. So I came back to New York. But Cole's doing well. I've been in touch with him. He's down in Florida. He makes his little cameo appearance here in Brooklyn.
No, he was I saw him. He came up He came up. He did a ball side middle documentary.
Yeah.
I saw him in that. You
Mm-hmm.
know they have Oak Hill as one of your high schools. You know that?
No, I didn't know that. But I was only there for a hot minute. I was there for a hot minute.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they even put it on there.
No, it's still there. When you went overseas, did you pick up any languages? And what was your favorite city to play? I mean, favorite country to play in?
Portugal.
That was the championship in which you got Mario.
Right. But yeah, and Mario and I both was out there speaking Portuguese.
Wow.
Yeah. Portugal was my favorite because it's a neutral country.
Right.
And it was just fun. It was just fun. And this was before they got into the EU community.
Right.
So
gotcha.
So it was a lot of fun. I mean, then my second country, I would say, of course, Spain was nice. But, to me, the people are a little arrogant there. But, that's a story.
Yes, that goes with their history, too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, they think they're the superior race on the planet, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we know differently.
Definitely. How was your transition after basketball, like into the real world? How was that process for you?
Well, once I became a father, I have 2 girls, and once I became a father, it was very, very easy because that was my new focus in life.
Got you.
You know what I mean? Was raising my girls and also providing for them and showing them the way to live a normal, productive life. And I'm blessed that both my wife and I were able to raise our 2 girls and be productive young ladies in society. I'm not a grandfather yet, but I got 2 successful daughters, and I'm happy about that. That's all I can ask for right now.
That's dope, man.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope.
But overall, with your question about the transition, because I knew quite a few brothers that came home from overseas or they had to give up basketball early. They had to give it up not on their terms. But I was one that was lucky. I gave it up on my terms. I decided that that I had enough. I was told a long time ago, when you do not want to practice, when you don't have the energy or the love to practice, give it up before you injure yourself, right? So when that did occur, then it was easy for me to say, you know what, I'm not going back. Because when I gave up playing, I still had money on the table because I had 2 more years on my contract. And I was 34 when I gave it up. I'll be 61 next week. So I never looked back, nor did I ever second guess myself about what if, because I gave it up on my terms,
Yeah, a lot of people can't say that. I still run into guys who have a problem telling their story because they feel like they didn't make it to where everybody else think they should, or where they should have make it, and it's hard for them to kind of talk about that, or sometimes they live a very recluse life where they just stay out of people's eyesight, so they don't have to answer those questions.
Right, and I got a problem with that because at some point in your career, especially when you did interviews and you had to watch what you say because they twist and manipulate what you say, you don't care what others think. It's about how you're living and what you're doing. As long as you're happy about what you're doing and comfortable with it. But people are always going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of your people that's viewing this interview right now, they like doing this. You're right. And because we had to be like that. You know what I mean? I tell my wife all the time, I don't care what people think about me. Because I know I'm happy with myself. I'm living a good life, might not be the life someone else had ideas for me, but that doesn't bother me. As long as I'm happy, that's all that's important,
And you have a lot of people that love you, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank
Nah,
you.
that's the God's honest truth. Before we met, before we had any kind of dialogue, I used to hear your name, and there's certain names you just hear so much. It's like, you start doing your own research in your own. It's like, damn, I need to figure out why everybody's talking about this person, right? And not only that, when you hear about how much of an incredible ball player you were, they also talk about the kind of human being that you are.
Thank
Right?
you, man.
And the impressions that you left on them. So when I have guys, Mario hit me up and Derek Chivas hit me up, my guy Rick Combs and other people like, yo, when you have a D on the show, man, miss seeing that guy, man, just miss watching him and you never know who you touch.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know till you hear about it. But you know what? I am so blessed that I was able to touch others in the same way people touched me. And all I do is just pave the way, help pave the way, and help as the way any way I can. And right now you making me, you touching me, man, because it's important because I always say, man, New York City, we are a family regardless. I might not see you in 20 years, 30 years, and I might not even recognize you when I see you, but you tell me your name, I know you.
That's right.
And if I see any of y'all this weekend, man, please let's chop it up. Let's talk because I will be at Tom's get together
tomorrow, June 15th at Malloy High School, the Tom Kachowski All-City Classic.
Did I just lay it out for you?
Hey, I love to promote it. Yo, Todd Chico, he's not the only one that even you go on my timeline on my Instagram, you see GOAT status. You see GOAT, or they just put the emoji, the GOAT emoji, right? Even my guy Ross, who hit me up on Instagram, and you heard talk briefly about you, right?
Right.
These things were, when we were young kids and those people who make those impressions on us, this is why it's always good to be a good person. Because people going to remember the good things you did for them or how you make them feel,
right,
and the bad things.
Yes.
So if your good don't outweigh your bad, you're not going to have received the love like my guy D has received, man, for these last couple of weeks. And we're supposed to go on 2 weeks ago, and people was flooding my DM saying, when is he coming on? When is he coming on? So I appreciate that, man.
I hope we didn't disappoint. I hope I didn't disappoint.
Not at all, man.
Because I love sharing my story, and I love talking about basketball, especially to other basketball heads.
That's right.
No, I'm floored right now. Ernie's on. He's looking on. Ernie Myers, my man. You got you an NCAA championship, bro, and you still following your school. That's good, man. Support, man. That's nothing but love there, bro.
No doubt. He's definitely a big supporter of the show, man, and comes on, especially when his peers are on. He said, ask about those teams that beat the Yugoslavia team at Queens College.
See? Those are some games there.
I didn't know about this game. Tell me about this game.
Well, I think the one in Queens College, because there was a couple of them. One with the Gauchos playing against them. I remember
Gauchos playing against the Rush. I remember
that. And I think also the Soviet Union team was involved too with that. And I think that was like the I don't know if it was the national team, but I think it was like their 18 and under team and everything. Those were some good games, and that gave us an opportunity to see the European basketball. And Yugoslavia, man, they grow them big over there. Them kids are tall for a young age and everything. But it was good battles. It was really good battles. That reminded me because when I was a freshman, I went to Israel with the Gauchos.
Wow.
Right? My freshman year, my mother did not want me to go because that's when, Lebanon and Israel was at, they was having little battles. Look, you saw an MCOR Unlimited team. MCOR got a special place in my heart. That's the United Queens days. That's the United Queens.
Yeah, somebody get Rick Combs. I I gotta ask him to find this picture because I have a new phone. He sent me this picture. I put it up a while ago. It's on my Instagram somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he had that Summer League Elmcore United team. Y'all won a championship somewhere.
Let me guess. We had a green jersey on, and was Vic Fleming,
Yes,
Vic
yes,
Byrne,
yes.
Tim Banks, Jeannie Wardren, Red, Glenn McMillan.
Yes.
Yeah. Derek Scott was on that team.
Wow.
Ronnie Williams.
So y'all was dangerous when y'all all came together. It was like no stopping you guys.
Yeah, we were. Because just the first, when you take Glenn and Derek out of the picture, everybody else were from either Queensbridge or Ravenswood. Because Red's not from Queensbridge; he's from Ravenswood, which is 4 blocks away from Queensbridge. But just imagine just having all those guys, and we playing pickup ball and we all organized basketball together. We literally grew up playing with one another all the way up till we went to college.
Would you say that side of Queens had the best ball players in Queens?
During that time, yes. And and that's not saying nothing about South Jamaica. Jamaica had their players too. But United Queens, we did run things from 79 on up. And I mean, Jackson, all them guys, Bo Edwards, all of them, Vernon Moore, they had their teams, but we were more dominant, yes.
I have to get Vernon up here, so I have his number. We were supposed to do something last year. Hopefully we can do it this year. Salute to Vernon Moore.
Vernon Moore, happy birthday, bro.
Salute, happy birthday. And yours is coming up soon, so we want to say happy early birthday to you.
Yes, Vern that's my man there, because I seen we did a lot of hanging out. When he was at Jackson and I was at Monte Cristi. And then Vern, and I left it out that I played Vern every year in college. When he was at Creighton, we played Creighton every year. When he, when Willis Reed coached him.
Wow.
So that was huge too, yeah. And I'm not going to forget about my man KP, because he probably looking on too.
Kenny Patterson.
Yep.
Ross Strickland say he's the reason why he went to DePaul.
And I believe that. But I love that. I wish Rod would have went to Marquette.
That would have been something special too.
Yeah, KP.
If you could change one thing about your basketball journey, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I said it, where I would meet the coach first.
Yes, you did.
That's pretty much really the only thing. I have no regrets on my path. But that's the one thing that I would definitely do differently or have done differently. That right there.
Okay.
Because everything else I did, man, I loved it. I had fun. And that was the whole thing, was having fun. Imagine getting paid to play a sport that you would do for free. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, to me, that's how it was when we were coming up. But, now some, these younger generation, they think they belong there. You got to earn it. That's all I'm going to tell you. You got to earn it, because, we're a dime a dozen. You're a dime a dozen. There's a lot of athletes out there, but we'll put you up to the top than the others, above the others. You know what I mean? And the NBA is all luck, but they'll find that out as their path goes.
What is one thing that you would tell youngsters to do or to watch out for during their journey?
Well, it depends on what stage of their career they're at. If they're in high school, just keep your eyes open and just remember that everybody is not being honest, but you have to know your path. You have to know what direction you're going, where you want to go, and then just take the steps towards that. Because you'll get all types of advice, and if it's something don't sound right, probably not right. Realistically, unless you're not being realistic about your talents or your skills. But you just got to follow your heart.
Well, we're saying that we're going to get into our top five. Some say this is the hardest part of the show. And of course, we are definitely looking to get you in trouble on this one. Who are the top 5 guys you played with?
Ooh. Top 5 that I played with. Okay. You know what? I would just go with my high school. I'll just go, and I'll go with Tony Red Bruin. I'll go with Ronnie Williams. I'll go with Vern Fleming. I'll go with Phil Smith. G.D. Wardren.
If you guys played in the same college, how many NCAA championships you guys would win? All of you guys got to play with each other.
At least 2. At least 2. At least 2.
Whew. That's saying a lot.
Yeah, I think so. With the right coach, at least 2, if not more. And that's the hardest thing to do back to back. But I see that it's been done. Yeah, we'll definitely get at least 2.
Okay, and that's being honest. That's being honest. Who are the top 5 dudes you played against?
Ooh.
Anywhere, everywhere.
Okay. I'll say number 1 is 2. It's 2 in my college time. Well, 3 in my college time, and 2 of them were some enormous human beings. Otis Thorpe, Mark West. Now this brother here, he was he made my life difficult, and I played against him in the NCAAs. And he went to Tennessee. Can you guess who he was? Jump shooter.
Tennessee, jump shooter. Played about 12 years in the league. Probably one of the best shooters behind Ray. You got me stumped.
Dale Ellis.
I forgot he went in Tennessee.
He dropped 20 on me in the NCAAs. Me touching the palm of his hand every shot. I'm right there.
How quick? He had one of the quickest releases ever.
The quickest release, but I was a quick jumper. But he would get it over me every time, and he would touch the back of my palms, the back of my hand like that. Every shot, I'm right there. Dale Ellis.
I remember him so vividly. His release was just so crazy. He would just get it. A lot of times dudes got to wind up, or he
just go straight up and yep.
Oh man,
I get it. And then I'm gonna go with 2 European guys. We played Mario and I think Mario will clarify this. Tony Kukoffs and Dino Raja. We played against them in the European Championship League. Because we won the championship in Portugal as well as the Cup championship. So we played in both. And for the European Championship, we played against Yugo Split. And that was Tony Kukoff and Dino Raja as well as Divas. Now, Tony Kukoff was Chicago Bulls and Dino Raja was the Boston Celtics.
And we see a different Dino Roger and Kukos in the NBA than when they was with their home
Right.
team. So
Well,
totally.
when I played against them, they were 19 years old.
Wow.
Right. So seeing a 6'9", 6'10", left-handed point guard, because he played point where you go split. Yeah.
That's crazy. A lot of times, us over here, we seeing the guys on television thinking that's all the talent in the world, like not knowing there's talent on this whole planet.
Right. But it was many European players, man, that was tough. Like Marason, I seen him when I was in France, 7'7", before he came here to play with the Wizards. So there's a lot of talent over there, and also you over there for free. Now I got to pay to go.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
I think you got one more. You got one more.
That wasn't 5.
You named.
No, I gave you Terry. I gave you Otis Thorpe, Dale Ellis, Tony Kukoc, and Dino Rogers.
Yes, that's 5. Yeah.
That's my 5. I can give you another one if you want.
No, they can't bring nobody off the bench. No 6-man. No, we're not doing that. Because this next one, it may throw you for a loop.
Okay.
Top 5 players in New York City history.
Oh, God. All I know is this. Number 1 is Bernard King. That's all I know.
But hold on. No one has never picked Bernard as number 1.
Nobody?
No, he's been picked. They usually start off, I got to start off with the captain. I got to start off with Kareem. But when you say Bernard King, what did he mean to you in your career?
He was a scoring machine. I told you from the earlier in the show, I loved scoring. So Bernard was the man.
Yes, yes.
Bernard definitely, and I'll throw somebody out there that wasn't even an NBA player, and that was Eddie Lee from Queens.
Tell me about Eddie Lee. I heard the name before. Tell me about Eddie Lee.
Eddie Lee was a beast. To me, he probably, besides Sam, he probably was one of the toughest guards I have ever seen. I mean, I've seen Gus Williams. When he was with Seattle, things like that. But Vinny Johnson.
Yes.
They all there. Vinny is definitely like in my top 2 guards. He's like number 2 to me, Vinny Johnson, because of the microwave. But Eddie Lee was he had the jump shot. He had the handles. Like you think Kenny Patterson had handles? Couldn't touch Eddie.
Really? How tall was he?
Eddie was like 6'3". He went to St. John's Military Academy too.
Wow.
Joe said that he was the second guy that Joe sent to the military academy. And then he went to the University of Cincinnati. And he Eddie was tough. He blew out his knee, and he got drafted by the Denver Nuggets, and he blew out his knee. So that's why his playing days were over. But if he didn't blow his knee out, there's no telling what he would have done in the league.
What made Sam worth it? So I'm gonna get back to your 5. I just want to touch on Sam real quick. And I seen him destroy dudes, and then I see him, in the NBA for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. But with you playing against him or playing with him or battling against him and seeing him battle against others, what made Sam stand out among the rest?
Sam used this. Sam was smart. He had the skills, handle, passing. He was a magician with the ball. The first time I met Sam was when Brooklyn, USA and United Queens senior team went out to St. Cecilia. And that was the first time I met or seen Magic Johnson. And I mean,
No, I get it. I get it. I get it. Trust me, because that's when I saw Magic play, I was just like, wow, Sam Worthing.
Right, exactly. But a taller version.
Yes, yes.
But Sam had, I think Sam passed better than him.
Mm.
You know, when I was watching Sam when he's at Marquette, the passes I just wish I was on the court with him because all you gotta do is run with him. He's gonna get the ball to you. And Sam and I did play with each other in the USBL. But I mean, he's just a musician with the ball, you know. You know, he didn't play with the Harlem Wizards for no reason because he
That's
was
right.
magic. He was good with the ball in his hand. But yeah, he had the skills. And he played very, very smart. Very
All right,
smart.
you got three more. You got three more.
Three more. So I already Sam is definitely one.
All right, so you got
Vinny
ooh.
Johnson, Bernard, and of course you got to throw Kareem in there. You know,
And Eddie Lee.
Eddie Lee. There you go.
That's five. That's five. That's five.
Right.
Wow. First time I heard Eddie Lee. First time somebody ever put him in.
I'm a Queens boy.
Hey, listen. there's listen. I'm gonna explain to you right now. There's a reason why. For all you people who don't know, let me just explain something to you. Queens, it have its rough parts. Mostly, it's a community-oriented place to live. There's a reason why they got the most NBA players in New York City. There's a reason why they have the most successful rappers in New York City. It just goes on to show you, right? Yeah. You know, I'm a Brooklyn guy, but you got to speak facts. You got to speak facts. You got to speak facts, especially you on the show.
Right.
So there's a reason why. And you know what it is? I'm going to tell you. Community, community, community. Still to this day on my IG, if I post a kid from Queens doing something, Queens just pop out. Queens get the money. Queens. And not saying Brooklyn guys don't do it, but I see it out of all the boroughs, I see it with Queens. Still to this day.
That speaks volumes right there, man.
Man. You coming in the show speaks volumes. I want to say thank you for allowing me to have a chance to have a conversation with you, brother. We talked, on the phone, and they bring you on the show, and you share some of these stories, and share your story means the world to me, man. This is supposed to happen, the Most High made this happen because before I knew or met you, knew who you were, seen the pictures, read the articles, and now get the chance to talk to you, man, it means the world to me, man. And I just want to say thank you for everything. Thank you for bringing smiles and, joyful moments to people in New York City. Thank you for making us proud. Thank you for always being a professional. Thank you for being a role model for all of us, brother. And I mean that.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate that.
No
Anytime,
doubt,
bro. Anytime.
This won't be the last time. Make sure you pull up tomorrow.
No, I'm coming.
Get that brotherly love embrace, man. And I'm going to show you some love too, man.
All right.
Man, thank you, man. Thanks to your wife. Thanks to your kids. And, man, have a blessed evening, man. I'll holler at you.
Take care now. All right.
I'm going to do my closing remarks, and I'm going to get out of here.
All right, now.
All right. Wow. See that? Another legendary moment. Dwayne DJ Johnson, New York City legend. Queens icon. Some of the stuff he did in the past, people are still talking about to this day. And when you talk to guys with DJ status, you realize how much greatness he's seen and experienced. Because tonight he was giving it up. He was showing love to his fellow ball players, that fraternity that we in, that New York City brotherhood. Kids, you're going to be us one day. Cherish these moments. Know your history. Know who came before you and who paved that way. Because you're going to be laying the foundation for another group of kids to come through. I'd like to thank everybody who came through and show love. Appreciate you. Ernie Myers, first of the check-in. Appreciate you, brother. My guy, AB Money, appreciate you. Tar Chico, appreciate you, brother. Marcel Smith, appreciate you. J.E., always appreciate you. Paul Scurry, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Always. Yeah, hit them likes up. Subscribe. You haven't already subscribed to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's very important. We got to help make this channel grow, baby. By the end of the summer, we need to have 10,000 subscribers. That's the goal. Tell everybody. Tell a friend. It costs you nothing just to press that subscribe button. Get those likes up. Appreciate you. Thank you, Tar. We're saying that, if you guys don't already know, tomorrow is going down, June 15th at Malloy High School, the Tom Kachowski All-City Classic. Putting on by your boy, yours truly. And grassroots basketball, and so many others that helped to contribute, like my guy Dave from Dave Joint, and my guy Jaquan from Hoop Dreams NYC, who helped me pick the All-City team. So we're saying that, I'm about to get out of here. Peace. Sayonara. Goodbye. Good night. We are out. Peace.